When evaluating piecework rates for electrical rough-ins, several factors must be considered to determine if the offered compensation is fair. Firstly, market rates should be researched to understand average pay rates for electricians in the area for similar work. This involves finding out what other electricians are charging for a comparable rough-in project. Secondly, the complexity of the project needs evaluation. Military base housing might have specific requirements or additional electrical components that increase the difficulty and time required for the job. Thirdly, estimating the time frame to complete the rough-in is crucial. Accurately calculating the approximate number of hours it would take to complete the rough-in for both 3-bedroom and 4-bedroom units is essential to determine your effective hourly pay. Fourthly, consider skill level and experience. More experienced electricians may command higher rates due to their efficiency and expertise. Given the information provided, it is challenging to definitively say whether $600 for a 3-bedroom and $650 for a 4-bedroom rough-in is a fair rate without further details. However, weigh the pros and cons. Piecework can potentially lead to higher earnings if you work efficiently and complete the projects faster than anticipated. The rates might align with market averages for electricians in some areas, offering a competitive earning potential. Conversely, if the job takes longer than expected due to unforeseen complications or project complexity, your hourly pay may be lower than a standard hourly wage. The complexity of the project and any specific requirements of military base housing may not be fully reflected in the rates offered, potentially undervaluing your labor. To make an informed decision, follow these steps. Determine what other electricians are charging for similar work in the area. Use online resources, local trade associations, or networking to gather this information. Calculate the approximate number of hours it would take to complete the rough-in for both 3-bedroom and 4-bedroom units. Consider the complexity of the project, the materials involved, and skill level. If you believe the rates are not fair based on research and time estimates, consider negotiating with the contractor. Present the findings and time estimates to support requests for a higher rate. Highlight experience, efficiency, and any specific challenges that the project may entail. Ultimately, whether the deal is good or bad depends on individual circumstances and the specific details of the project. By gathering more information, analyzing the factors involved, and potentially negotiating with the contractor, a decision can be made. Before accepting the piecework arrangement, conduct thorough research. Talk to other electricians working in the area to get a sense of the prevailing market rates for similar projects. Use online resources and industry publications to gather data on electrician wages and piecework rates. Break down the rough-in process into individual tasks such as running wiring, installing outlets and switches, and connecting fixtures. Estimate the time required for each task based on experience and skill level. Add up the time estimates for all tasks to arrive at a total time estimate for each type of unit, the 3-bedroom and 4-bedroom ones. Factor in any potential delays or unexpected challenges that may arise during the project. Military base housing may have specific codes, regulations, or inspection requirements that could add to the project's complexity. Compare the estimated hourly pay based on the piecework rates with the typical hourly wage for electricians in the area. This comparison will help determine if the piecework rates are competitive. If the estimated hourly pay is significantly lower than the prevailing hourly wage, consider negotiating with the contractor for a higher rate. Highlight the experience, efficiency, and the potential challenges of the project. Explain how the accurate time estimates demonstrate the value provided. If the contractor is unwilling to negotiate, carefully consider whether the piecework arrangement is financially viable. Factor in the expenses, such as transportation, tools, and materials, and the potential for delays or unexpected challenges. If the risks outweigh the potential rewards, it may be best to decline the piecework arrangement and seek other opportunities. When evaluating the piecework rates, take into account the specific requirements of military base housing. These projects may involve adhering to strict codes and regulations, coordinating with military personnel, and undergoing rigorous inspections. These factors can add to the complexity and time required for the project, potentially affecting earnings. Discuss these requirements with the contractor to ensure the piecework rates adequately compensate for the additional effort and expertise needed. In addition to the base piecework rates, inquire about any potential bonuses or incentives for completing projects ahead of schedule or exceeding expectations. Such incentives can boost earnings and provide a greater sense of value for work. Obtain a written agreement outlining the scope of work, piecework rates, payment terms, and any other relevant details. This agreement will help protect rights and ensure that both parties are clear on their obligations. Consult with a legal or financial professional to review the agreement and ensure that it is fair and reasonable. Throughout the project, track the time spent on each task and any unexpected challenges encountered. This documentation will help refine future time estimates and improve negotiation skills. Share feedback with the contractor regarding the piecework rates and any suggestions for improvement. Open communication can help foster a more collaborative and mutually beneficial working relationship. Remember that the decision to accept or decline a piecework arrangement is a personal one. Weigh the pros and cons, assess individual skills and experience, and make an informed decision based on financial goals and priorities. By carefully evaluating the factors involved, a determination can be made whether the piecework arrangement aligns with career aspirations and financial needs. Furthermore, consider the consistency of work offered under the piecework arrangement. If the contractor can guarantee a steady flow of projects, it may be easier to justify a lower piecework rate, as consistent work can offset the lower per project earnings. However, if the work is sporadic or unreliable, negotiating for a higher rate may be necessary to compensate for the periods of unemployment. It's also important to assess the contractor's reputation and track record. A contractor with a history of fair dealing and timely payments is more likely to provide a positive piecework experience than one with a reputation for cutting corners or delaying payments. Research the contractor's reputation by checking online reviews, talking to other electricians who have worked for them, and verifying their licensing and insurance. Another factor to consider is the availability of materials and equipment. If the contractor provides all the necessary materials and equipment, it can save time and money. However, if the electrician is responsible for supplying their own materials and equipment, the cost of these items should be factored into the piecework rate. Additionally, clarify who is responsible for any rework or repairs that may be necessary due to faulty materials or workmanship. If the electrician is responsible for rework, the piecework rate should be adjusted accordingly. Finally, remember that piecework is not for everyone. It requires a high degree of self-discipline, organization, and efficiency. Electricians who thrive in a piecework environment are typically those who are able to manage their time effectively, work independently, and maintain a high level of quality. If you are not confident in your ability to meet these demands, a traditional hourly wage may be a better option.